On the frozen rim of the world lies a white wilderness where the wind never stops and the human voice is swallowed by ice. In 1912-13, a man walked across this land alone. His companions gone, his provisions vanished, his body broken. For over 30 days, he trudged through a wasteland of crevasses, blizzards, and starvation. And when he finally arrived at safety, the ship meant to carry him home had already left. This is the story of Sir Douglas Mawson, a tale of heroism, tragedy, and survival at the edge of the known world. Chapter 1. The Hero's Preparation. Douglas Mawson was born in Yorkshire, England, in 1882. As a boy, he emigrated to Australia, where he developed a passion for geology and the natural world. A lecturer at the University of Adelaide by his mid-20s, Mawson's scientific promise was matched only by his adventurous spirit. He turned down an offer to join the famous Robert Falcon Scott's expedition to the South Pole, choosing instead to lead his own venture, a bold mission to explore the coastline south of Australia that few had ever seen. In December 1911, the Australasian Antarctic expedition set sail from Hobart aboard the steam sloop Aurora. Their destination, East Antarctica, near Commonwealth Bay and Cape Denison. Here, amid towering ice cliffs and freezing seas, they established a base designed to withstand one of the most hostile places on Earth. The wind there regularly reached 60 or 70 miles per hour, sometimes far more. Mawson's aim was scientific and exploratory, not the South Pole race. He and his team would map vast tracts of coastline, collect meteorological and magnetic data, gather geological specimens, and push into the interior of the continent. And so, with sledges loaded, dogs harnessed, and determination high, Mawson prepared for his boldest venture, a sledging party into the far east of the continent. Chapter 2. Into the White Unknown. On 10th of November 1912, Mawson, accompanied by Lieutenant Belgrave Edward Ninnis and Swiss skier Xavier Mertz, set out from base in the far eastern party. They pulled 3 sledges, stocked with supplies weighing over 1,700 pounds, pulled by huskies aiming to cover hundreds of kilometers into unknown crevasse country. At first, the going was steady. Snowfields stretched before them. The dogs pulled without complaint by Antarctic standards, and progress was promising. The landscape was vast, austere, and thrilling for men of science and exploration. They crossed glaciers, measured sun positions, collected specimens. But Antarctica seldom gives in easily. The terrain was rife with hidden dangers. Snow bridges over crevasses, unexpected storms, ice that cracked beneath their feet. On the 13th of December, the glacier trembled with deep booms. Mawson noted these noises and worried for the ice safety of his team. By midday, on the 14th of December, they were crossing a heavily crevassed field. Mertz signaled ahead, and then the disaster happened. Ninnis, walking beside his sledge laden with the best dogs and most provisions, broke through a snow bridge. The full weight of his body collapsed the arch. He, the dogs, the sled, vanished into the hollow. Mawson and Mertz crawled to the edge, peering into darkness. They heard no shout, no cry. A dog whimpered once, then silence. For 3 hours they called. Nothing returned. The crevasse measured 150 feet deep. Ninnis was gone. Supplies were gone. The mission had ended in an instant. Chapter 3. The Turn Back, Darkening Days. In that moment, the tone of their journey shifted. The men realized that with the supplies lost and only 2 men remaining, there was no onward push. They began the long retreat to base, aware that time was working against them. The returning ship would expect them by mid-January 1913, and leaving Antarctica after the summer window would be nearly impossible. They rationed the remaining food, improvised spoons from broken sledges, used bits of tin. The dogs began to die or were killed for sustenance. Mawson described how the dog meat was stringy and musty, but it kept them alive. In the freezing temperatures, every bite counted, but some calamities could not be avoided. Mertz began to show shocking symptoms: convulsions, delirium, hair loss. Modern analysis suggests they suffered vitamin A poisoning from eating dog livers, a rare but lethal condition called hypervitaminosis A. On January 8th, Mertz died quietly in his sleeping bag. Mawson recorded the event with stoic matter of fact. The fever had taken hold. His companion gone, his supplies gone, Mawson now became completely alone. And the journey back had only just begun. Chapter 4. Lone Survivor in the Waste of Ice. The journey alone is hard enough to imagine. Frostbite gripped Mawson. He described the soles of his boots separating as layers of skin peeled away. His feet were raw, watery fluid had entered his socks. He smeared himself with lanolin, peeled away new skin, strapped boots back on. Then he fell into a crevasse himself. He described dangling 14 feet above an icy abyss, tethered only by rope and a half sledge anchored in the wall. It could easily have been his end, but he escaped. The wind hammered him, snow blinded him, the silence weighed. He dragged himself forward day after day, even if he could manage only 5 miles in a day physically. Each step was agony, each breath a battle. In early February, he reached the depot Aladdin's Cave, just 5 kilometers from base camp. Inside, he found pineapples and oranges, symbols of civilization in the gray-white world, and tangible proof that his team had been there. But success still eluded him. A blizzard set in for 5 days, delaying him further. Finally, he set off for the last leg. As he neared the coast, he spotted a plume of smoke on the horizon. His heart leapt. Could this be the Aurora? Was rescue at hand? He watched, but the ship steamed away. He had missed her. He had done the unimaginable. And yet, he arrived hours too late. Chapter 5. Aftermath, Legacy, and Reflection. Mawson was forced to spend another winter at Cape Denison, awaiting a relief ship. When he finally returned to Australia, his body bore the evidence of his ordeal: frostbite mutilations, exhaustion, mental strain. But he was alive. His survival defied despair. Despite the human cost, the deaths of Ninnis and Mertz, the expedition delivered on its scientific goals. Vast stretches of coastline were mapped. Wireless communications were established. Meteorological and geological collections were brought home. Australia solidified its claims in Antarctica. Mawson was knighted. He became a national figure in Australia, a symbol of endurance, intelligence, and the human will. For many historians, his trek remains perhaps the most terrible journey ever undertaken in Antarctica. But beyond the accolades lies the deeper legacy. The idea that the human spirit, when driven by purpose, can endure more than we imagine. In the words of Mawson himself, even when all hope seemed lost, he refused to give in. Chapter 6. Why this matters today. In a world where extreme sports, survival challenges, and digital games push human limits in different ways, Mawson's journey offers a real-life equivalent, one that predates technology, satellites, modern gear, and rapid rescue. He was alone in an uncharted world, forced to live off dog meat and reattach his own skin. In the end, Douglas Mawson did not just survive Antarctica, he transcended it. He returned from a journey that broke two men and nearly broke him. He walked away, battered and changed, yet unbroken. His story reminds us of the power of perseverance, the price of exploration, and the fragility of human life in the face of nature. Picture him pulling his sledge across the bleached expanse, the wind an endless roar, the horizon flat and white. And in that moment, we glimpse what it means to be truly tested and to endure. This is the story of Douglas Mawson, hero of the ice, survivor of the impossible.